Hello everyone, TechScope here on another video. Last week I bought the Samsung Galaxy M51 and I'd like to share my first impression and the unboxing video. I have to say that my unboxing skills are not very good because I haven't unboxed quite a lot of things, and I wanted to upload this video a lot earlier, but I had some stuff to do. I was very busy, so I wasn't able to carry on with it and edit it. So although it's quite a bit late of a video, I still think my first impressions haven't changed, and I'd like to talk about them. Let's have a rundown of the specs. First thing about this phone is it has a 1080p Full HD 6.7-inch Super AMOLED Plus display, and in short words, it means it's good for movies. It is covered with a Corning Gorilla Glass 3 Plus, so it should resist fingerprints pretty well. Now, going on from there, this phone weighs about 213 grams, which is quite heavy, even more heavy than the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra. And it's made from plastic. It has a plastic bag, a plastic frame. It has Android 10, upgradable to Android 11. So if you buy this phone right now, you should have Android 11 with One UI Core 3.0. It comes with a chipset of Qualcomm Snapdragon 730G. 8nm process, which is quite respectable if you ask me. Any games you play, you should be able to have a smooth gameplay, a good one, no lagging whatsoever. And it does have a dedicated slot for micro SD card. The version I have here is the 128GB ROM with 8GB RAM. So this is the best version of this device you can buy. Let's talk about the cameras. I have the phone over here. The cameras, we got a 64 megapixel wide camera, and then we have a 12 megapixel 123 degree ultra wide. So this is one of the widest cameras Samsung offers, and it's pretty good. And then we have a 5 megapixel macro and a 5 megapixel depth. What macro means is basically you can go close up to objects to pick up tiny details in the objects, while with depth is usually used to measure the distance between the camera and the subject to get the best focus, for a faster focus timing, and for you to get a better picture, presumably. So it does have an LED flash if you are interested. It comes with HDR support. It can support up to 4K 30 FPS. It doesn't have an option for 60 FPS in any setting, so that's a bummer. It does have a single 32 megapixel front camera over here in a punch hole cutout, a very unique design to Samsung. Also supporting 4K 30 FPS and HDR. It comes with a pretty good speaker at the bottom with the 3.5mm headphone jack, something that most flagships don't offer these days. So I guess that's a plus. It comes with a USB Type-C. So these are the type of USB for new generation phones. It's been here for pretty much a few years right now. It's for fast charging, and talking about fast charging, this phone charges at 25 watts, and in Samsung terms it is called super fast charging. It also supports reverse charging through wire. It doesn't support wireless, it's wired reverse charging. And it has a side fingerprint, a capacitive side fingerprint, so you don't get the in-display that's in trend right now. And the selling point of this phone is its battery. Now, if you see the specs that I've said so far, you would have noticed that it's actually pretty similar to the Galaxy A71. And you're not wrong, it is a a ripoff of the Galaxy A71, there are a few differences. Number one, the difference is it's a full plastic body, while the Galaxy A71 has aluminium sides. And then, the Galaxy A71 is a very slim phone, and it also has a kind of plastic matte finish at the back. It also has a better design, while this is pretty plain. It comes in cells black and electric blue. Not bad, but it's a fingerprint magnet. The first time I used this phone, there were a lot of fingerprints on it. And it's also pretty thick at 9.5 millimeters. That's almost a centimeter thick. It's one of the thickest phones out there. And there's a reason for this, and that's what sets it apart from the Galaxy A71, and that is its 7000 milliamp hour battery cell. It's a single unit lithium polymer 7000 milliamp hours. Yes, that's the biggest battery ever put in a consumer smartphone. And for a comparison, one of the biggest batteries out there is in the ROG 5 that has been the latest release, and it has a 6000 milliamp hour battery. So this is 1000 milliamp hours more than the ROG 5. So that's a lot of battery power over here. You can expect out of almost 3 days of battery out of this phone, and that's the selling point. In fact, there's so much battery, you get reverse wireless charging, you can charge your phone and still have enough juice left to go for the whole day. So that's something very special about this phone. That's why it's heavy, that's why it's thick, that's why it's gone for a more simple design. And another thing you realize when you hold this phone is that the camera bump is non-existent. There's no camera bump at all. If you see carefully, there's no camera bump. It just lies flat. So like if you use it flat on a surface, it's just pretty much flat. It doesn't move. But I won't advise you to do that because it's a plastic bag. It scratches a lot, so it's very advisable for you to get a case. And talking about case, it's actually quite difficult finding a case for the Galaxy M51, especially where I live, because this is not a mainstream smartphone. This is only targeted at certain markets like India, where it's expected to have very high sales. Because some people might not be able to afford the Galaxy A71 5G, and they might have to go for the 4G. And if you don't know, the Galaxy A71 4G comes with an Exynos chipset, and many people hate Exynos nowadays, even though they are trying to come out of the reputation as a bad chip maker. But people don't like Exynos, so they want to go for the A71 5G, but the A71 5G is overpriced. This one here has a 730G. The A71 has a 730. So not much of a difference, but raw power, raw performance, this guy might have a very tiny, a shade more power than the Galaxy A71. So it's a very good deal. But what are you losing? Like, it seems that this phone in every way is better than the Galaxy A71 5G. But the A71 is more expensive and this is cheaper. So what are you losing on? And the answer to that is actually very simple. What you're losing on is nothing in hardware, but you're losing it in software. And why is that? It's because Samsung is a very good software maker. They make One UI. So the concept of One UI is that it's easier to use with one hand, so hence the name One UI. But the thing is, there are actually two types of One UI. One of them is called One UI and another is One UI Core. So this One UI is especially for expensive phones, for more premium phones. So if you buy an A series phone, if you buy a Note series phone, an S series phone, you're getting One UI 3.1. That's the latest. But if you're buying the Galaxy M51, the Galaxy M51 isn't in this premium phone list. So even though hardware-wise, this phone is better than the A71 in every way, software wise, you're only getting the One UI Core 3.1, and that means you're losing on some things. For example, this phone here supports NFC, yet you don't have Samsung Pay in it. This phone supports 4K 60, but you don't have support for it. You can edit the sound quality and effects on this phone, but it doesn't support it. So that's a bit of a bummer. But if you're not used to this kind of features, then you'll be okay, you'll be fine. Because even if you go to the camera, the thing you notice is that it does have single take, but you don't have the director's mode. I'm not sure if the director's mode is present on the Galaxy A71, but if you buy the Note series or the S series, you're getting the director's mode. But with this guy, you're not getting the full features, despite it being a more powerful phone than every other device, mid-range device Samsung has put out. So my first impressions about this device, it's good hardware wise. It's one of the best mid-range phones you can get. But software wise, you have to compromise if you're a Samsung user. If you're not, this phone might be an upgrade in every way you can imagine. And despite being a heavy phone to use at 213 grams, that's quite a lot. And the only Samsung phone that's heavier than this is the Galaxy S21 Ultra. So pretty heavy phone, but very easy to use. It's very comfortable in hand. Like, it doesn't feel heavy. The weight distribution on this is very good, and it feels very comfortable in hand thanks to this very curved design they've went for, so it doesn't cut in your hand. The problem with the Note series, it has sharp corners which cut into your palms, and if you use an iPhone 12, it has sharp edges which also cuts into your palms. You don't have any of that with this, even though it's a heavy phone. So pretty easy to use, very good buttons. Not bad at all, good job. The speaker is pretty decent. It's a bit louder than the regular A71, but it's the same speaker. I think it's more louder because it's thicker and there's more space for the speaker to vibrate, so it's more prominent sound over there. So the only issue I have, it's a scratch and fingerprint magnet. So please use a case on this if you buy it. You have a lot of case options for this. A matte case in this case, silicone. So you have a lot of options for that. So besides that, it's actually very good. The first time I used the selfie camera, I don't use selfie cameras much, but it has an option to use your 32 megapixels to its full capacity. So I find that very useful. It has 32 megapixels, you can access that full, and then you also have a high-res rear mode for 64 megapixels. The macro, pretty good, but when the lighting is a bit low, the quality just falls apart, and that's a problem. Now 4K 30, quite good. I'll show you guys the camera samples in the 51-day review of these phones, since it's Galaxy M51, 51 day, has a ring to it. The ultra stabilization, quite good. The scene optimizer works pretty well most of the time. And the single take, pretty good. It actually impressed me, single take. Portrait mode. Now, for a phone that has a depth sensor, the portrait mode is pretty underwhelming. It's not bad, but just when I think that it took a very good, amazing shot, I find out that some things went out of focus, like the strands of hair, they are blurred. And it's a bit obvious, and when it's a bit obvious, it doesn't look like a portrait shot anymore. It doesn't look like a DSLR shot. It looks like a faked image. But I would say it looks way better than most portrait modes out there, but not flagship. So if you go for a flagship, you're gonna get a better portrait mode with this. So I've been using this phone for a while now. Battery life, amazing. No compromise in the battery life. It's just at least 2 days, even with heavy use. So it's impressed me so far. No lags. Even when gaming, it does heat up quite a bit when I'm gaming, but only when it's extreme, because I set all to the highest settings possible. It doesn't have like flagship level specs, but it is sufficient. So if you do want to buy this phone, I do recommend it. But if you're using an A series phone like a Galaxy A51, like a Note series phone, I would not recommend it, because if you are coming here, even though the hardware is an upgrade, software wise you would experience a downgrade. So it would feel like a give and take. But if you want to, it's your wish. For anyone using a phone that's lesser of the series than this will be an absolute upgrade. So if you're interested, I'll link down one of the links where I bought this. I bought this from Shopee, and yeah, so but you have to be careful. Check the reviews, make sure they are trustworthy retailers. And that's all from me today. Look forward to the 51-day review. And that's TechScope on this episode of TechScope, signing off for now. Goodbye.